ready for this? 'Cause I make
Voices of Victory Podcast Show. Voices of Victory. Voices of Victory. Voices of Victory. Voices of Victory Podcast Show.
There's now time for the Voices of Victory Podcast Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Mario D.
Welcome to Voices of Victory, the podcast where we dive into all things related to vision, leadership, and self-esteem. I'm your host, Mario De Leone, and I'm excited to kick off today's journey with you. Today, we're going to have some fun. Really, I mean it. We're going to have a good time. We're going to talk about how strategy outshines speed of execution. We live in a world where speed is mistaken for success. Fast food, fast cars, fast internet, fast video streaming, it's what we want. And it's all about rushing. And rushing can lead to costly errors and lots of mistakes. And it can damage long-term impact. There are times for speed, don't get me wrong. But we are going to explore how impatience is often tied to perfectionism and can hinder your growth, and why embracing mistakes is the key to both leadership and our humanity. Let's get started with the main discussion. We're going to go over some examples. Akio Morita, Sony's strategic vision. The co-founder of Sony showed us how strategy outweighs speed. When the Walkman was developed, Sony prioritized the understanding of consumer behavior, and they refined the product over and over again rather than rushing it to the market. And this was a deliberate approach which ensured Sony's dominance in that audio market for decades. The lesson here was that rushing achieves short-term results, but strategy really prioritizes long-term growth. Now, Microsoft also is another example because the cultural transformation from the CEO was Satya Nadella. He transformed the company by taking a patient, strategic approach. He emphasized empathy and they implemented a growth mindset. His focus was on collaboration and innovation in cloud computing, and what that did was it repositioned Microsoft as a leader in the tech world. So the lesson was that transformational leadership requires patience and a willing to learn from other people. That strategy outpaces haste. The next one was Howard Schultz, Starbucks. So when he returned to Starbucks during the financial decline, he decided to focus on strategy over quick fixes. He closed over 7,000 stores. And then he had to retrain all the baristas and sacrifice a lot of short-term things for long-term quality. Now, Starbucks' identity was restored and trust was recreated. The decision was to prioritize the long-term loyalty and sustainability will outweigh impulsive actions. So, what can we really understand from all this? When we look at these leaders, like Akio Morita and Satya Nadella and so on, the most effective leaders stop, pause, reflect, and then execute with intention. And impatience is tied to that perfectionism. And it can make us feel like we're falling behind. We have to dominate. It's all about how they're perceived. It's flawless execution. It's about admitting mistakes, embracing our humanity, and using that data as stepping stones to get us to another level. So this week, I want you to think about it in your life where you could replace speed with strategy. What long-term impact could you create by slowing down and crafting a more thoughtful approach? There's one more example I want to give before we go. And this one I'll never forget, was the Atom computer created by ColecoVision back in the 80s. It's a great story. What they did was they rushed the product of the Atom computer into development. Now, at that time, Coleco owned the Atom computer, ColecoVision, and the Cabbage Patch doll. What happened? It's next to amazing. They were on top of their game. And they rushed the Atom computer into development. And as a result, they had some defects and thousands of faulty chips were made for the product. Faulty computer chips. And I happen to know the person that worked on those products. I don't know if he's still alive, but essentially I learned a lot from him. He basically said they didn't put much thought. They rushed the product out onto the market. And by doing so, they had defects like crazy. He said there were so many faulty chips that you could sweep it with a push broom. And they were in piles and piles and piles. That caused Coleco to sell their entire company. And there, the Cabbage Patch was handed off to another company. I believe it was Hasbro. Correct me if I'm wrong. And the Cabbage Patch, ColecoVision, all of that went over to another company. So what long-term impact can you have when you slow down and just have a more thoughtful approach? And I want to thank you for tuning in to Voices of Victory today. Until next time, remember you're one step away from your victory. And don't forget, love, strength, and boundaries. And I'll see you on the next episode. Have a great day.